Good morning, team. Welcome to day 136, the 5 a.m. Squat Club. If you think that you should choose the easy way in life, you're wrong. Life is going to be challenging. You can choose your hard, or life can choose it for you. Every Saturday, we get together and we lift something heavy, we hold it off the ground, and we think about something important in life. Today is no different. We're going to go through 5 steps, though, every day to improve our lives. We get up early, we don't press snooze. We're going to prime our minds, choose our first thoughts of the day. We'll prime our body, warm it up. We'll get some intensity today, which is going to be our Sandbag Saturday. And then we're going to get clear to focus on the things that really matter in our life. Let's go. Step 1, prime the mind. So what that's going to look like here is grab yourself a weight if necessary. Something like so, put her down in front of you. And the idea is we are going to come into what we call our paleo squat. So feet underneath the hips. And if you need, hold on to that weight if you feel like you're going to fall backwards. This may be a little uncomfortable. We'll open our hips and open our minds. So our first thought of the day, I want to be, I am responsible. I want to remind myself that I can do anything if I set my mind to it. I can also fail, and I'm responsible for that as well. So I am responsible for the outcomes. Nobody's doing it for me, success or failure. I will make time between stimulus and response so that those around me get a better thought out version as opposed to a snappy reactive one. I have all I need to succeed today and will focus on progress over perfection. I could take the steps. I don't have to think about the big picture, huge goal far down the road. I give myself permission to take small steps every day because that's really the only way that you're going to get there and not get overwhelmed by the big picture and fall off. And then last is I choose gratitude. I want to make sure that I see the positive things and not just focus on the things that are challenging or hard or negative. So focus on positive to see more. So I'm responsible. I will make time between stimulus and response. I have all I need to succeed today and will focus on progress over perfection. I choose gratitude. Beautiful. So next step, we're going to start moving the body, getting warmed up a little bit for our sandbag. Sweet. All right. Let's see how we're doing today. That's not the right one. There we go. Good morning, Jason. Good morning, Yaroslav. Good morning, Spencer. Hey, he's back with it. And then good morning, Jody. Sweet deal. So you know what we got today. Sandbag is on the docket here. I was thinking of making the warm-up just like a bunch of burpees instead. So why don't we do that? Why don't we start off with, I don't know, let's go 20 burpees. And then we'll do a little bit more warm-up after, but this may become kind of more of our general warm-up. So just nice and steady. Let's just move through 20. So just get yourself flat on the floor. Get yourself back up. And let's get a little celebration there. We'll make sure we got a little bit of music on here. Let's just move through that. And walk it down. You can walk it up. We're waking up the body here. There's 2, 3. 4. Just come along with me. It doesn't need to be fast. 5. My hip was actually kind of sore sitting in a paleo chair there. I've never had that before. 6. It's interesting. 7. 8. 9. 10. 11. 12. 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Okay, blood's flowing a little bit. Whew, dry mouth. Okay, from there, we'll get at least one round here. So a little bit of hip flexor warm up. We'll do some of those. We'll do some good mornings. We'll do some lunges, maybe a few more burpees, and some squats. So follow along, let's do that. Or feel free to hop on a machine or something. When we, so if you're new here, what we're gonna do basically is we're gonna grab something heavy, relatively, and we're gonna keep it off the floor. So we're gonna bear the load for probably about 20 minutes. So whatever you choose, be it a medicine ball, a sandbag, a backpack. Children, I think Yaroslav sometimes picks up his boys, which I love. Whatever it is, bumper plate. And we're just gonna hold it. You can move it in different positions, but the goal is gonna be not put it on the floor. And we're gonna talk about the value in choosing a hard option, basically. Because life is hard. And if you don't choose your challenges and your hard things, life's gonna do it for you. So that's gonna be what we're gonna talk about here today in our Sandbag Saturday chat. Feel free to, before we start, if you guys want to throw some comments in there, you know, either about challenging things in life or where you've chosen the challenging option over the easy, convenient one, maybe for what reason. Let's just get a little bit of wobbling around in the squat here a little bit. Whoops. Just because I was a little tight there. So I just want to loosen that, get a little side to side. How are we all feeling this morning? Ready for a little change of pace? Sandbag? Feeling sore at all? My quads have been pretty sore yesterday, at least. I don't know if that's from the split squats, maybe. We also did a bunch of bike sprints at the gym the other day, so that could do it. All right, so we'll rebrief that. So let's talk about this. So see a few options here which you can pick up. Here is a medicine ball. We'll talk kind of where you can hang out with this. So you're just gonna pick up your weight, keep it up off the floor. This is an option which will tax the arms, the low back, and it'll press on the chest and make it harder to breathe, which is good. You can take it to the shoulder, which is a little less taxing on, you know, the arms and the breathing. Probably one of the more comfortable positions. Obviously, you can change sides. You could, I think last week I did some of this, where basically put it up on the hip, shift over kind of like you're carrying your kid. Do it on both sides. I'm a little bit anal about this, and I'm gonna try to make sure that I have even amounts of time on the right and the left, whatever position I hold. And then I think there, last week, I think Jody said she did maybe some on the back. I don't know how confident I'd feel in balancing that, but that's an option, especially if yours is heavy. So a medicine ball is a good option. You'll see here, this was my original sandbag before I bought one. It is it's a rock wrapped in blankets. So that's a great option as well. Or if you have obviously a sandbag or, you know, a backpack that you can fill with some weights or something like that. I'm feeling a little nauseous when I picked that thing up, but okay, so let's take a minute, get yourself ready, get your gear set up. Give me a thumbs up when we are there. And I think, and we'll get started here in a minute. If you're already ready and you haven't pressed the like button, please do so. Oh, we got 4, there you go. Okay, so just give me a quick thumbs up if we are ready to go. And we're gonna get this show on the road. Good old Sandbag Saturday. Okay. Next up, fun part, we're gonna go classical music. Okay, Yaroslav's got a thumbs up. So 20 minutes here is the goal. I think first week we did 30, but this is what we're gonna aim for. Am I gonna see this? Just give me a moment here. Reset my setup. Almost. Okay. Sandbag. Let's see. Jody says my sandbag is 41 pounds. My ponytail is in a high position for the back position. Oh, that's smart. Here, I'm just gonna redo my hair too. Just maybe bun it a little bit. I don't know if that's gonna help much, but I tried to put it in a little bun back there. Thanks for the hair advice. Okay. All right, team. It's time. Let's do this. Whoa. Forgot how heavy that was. Water. Let's see if we can drink some water during this. Okay. All right, team. Bear the load. 20 minutes. Let's do this. 10 seconds. All right, we got this. 3, 2, 1. All right. Beautiful. So hopefully you've got your sandbag up on your body, and we'll begin. So remember, today's topic is all about choosing your hard. Right, which is kind of what we're doing right now. I don't need to do this. I'm choosing to do this for a few reasons, which we'll probably touch on here. So we'll start with health. Right? Health is gained through exercise, good sleep, good nutrition, you know, healthy relationships. And all of that takes work. So I'm gonna give some examples of areas of our lives where you can choose the easy route or the hard route and kind of what that results in. The way that I look at all this is I just wanna make choices that I'm proud of, that I'm gonna look back on someday and be happy with those choices because I made progress in the direction that I wanted. So, think about, we'll talk, you know, food, for example, to start. It is easy to go and buy junk food. It is convenient to eat fast food, packaged foods, things that you can pick up on the run. But the problem with that is you lose health, right? You lose quality of food, you lose nutrient value, and as a result, your health decreases. So the hard choice, that's the choice that chooses you. The hard choice that you can make is to discipline yourself and choose healthy foods that may not be as convenient, that may not be as fun, that may not be as exciting, but are going to give you the results that you want. So you can choose the hard, which is, making those choices for better foods, or hard can choose you, where you take the easy route, eat the crappy foods, and the hard that chooses you is the health consequence in the end, where you have whatever chronic illness and you need to, whatever, be on drugs or go to the doctor, whatever it is, and your health is a hindrance as opposed to a positive because hard has chosen you. You can think about this in the realm of your career and your finances. I love this one because we talk about this all the time in the school community, that there are certain paths in terms of career and finance that are easy, right? The safe, secure, go to school, get a good job, which I think is changing substantially, but you go get that job that sounds like the right thing, that's secure, that's kind of the easy route, and you hate it your whole life, and you don't make the money you want, but it's secure and it's easy, versus choosing your hard. Maybe you're an entrepreneur, or you decide to do it for yourself. You choose the hard route, quote unquote, that gets you the good result, right? You can have the hard choose you, and you end up with a life that you're not happy with, that you're not, fulfilled with your purpose because you're working for some thing that you don't believe in, or it doesn't make you enough money. Whereas choosing your hard in this situation is doing it, right? Whatever your goal is, whatever your dream is, make it happen. That is going to be the hard. You can think about this in terms of relationships. This is the one that maybe I could use some more work on. When something challenging comes up in that relationship, whatever it is, you can choose to have the hard conversations and work through it and find the way that you work together better and that you end up with a better result. Or you can let hard choose you, which is, if I'm being honest, oftentimes what I do in these situations is you just leave it. You just don't do anything. And you let it fester, and you potentially let some resentment build, and then you end up with a far worse situation, and your hard is far stronger. So you choose the hard of the uncomfortable, awkward conversations, or hard chooses you, and maybe you lose that relationship. Maybe, you distance yourself. Maybe life just becomes super uncomfortable because you're living in a tense environment. I think we see the trend here in general that when you choose hard, you get a better life. We can use this as an example, and we can talk about it in terms of exercise and fitness and health, discipline. Right? We choose our hard every morning by waking up before we want to and doing this. Look at me. It is what time is it? It is 5:05 a.m. and I'm standing in my wife's office with a 115-pound sandbag on my shoulder, trying to hold it for 20 minutes because I see the value, because I know that it's good for me to get uncomfortable. I know that it's good for me to prioritize my goals by getting up early and doing it before the girls are awake. And I know it's good for my health and fitness. Whereas the other option is wake up late, not exercise, or maybe, try to get it in later, which probably results in inconsistency. And then, obviously, what you end up with is just waking up whenever, going through your day, not making time for your goals or fitness. And then the hard that you end up with is the fact that you haven't reached your goals and you're out of shape. And we talk about this all the time. One of the benefits of this morning routine is you're building trust in yourself. You're starting to believe that you're someone that does hard things and that gets up early and works for their goals and chooses their hard. Oh man. Right? If you don't choose that hard, you end up drifting. You end up just following along. And the hard that chooses you is the life of chronic disease, of not having faith that you can achieve your goals, really not getting anything out of it. So if you don't choose to build that discipline and choose this challenge, this hard that we do, hard will come get you in many other forms. Okay, we can talk about identity, purpose. Think about, we can very easily see what we're going for here in terms of identity, right? I want to be someone who works hard for what's important. I want to be someone who shows my girls that you can do anything if you set your mind to it and do the work. Right? So I'm choosing the hard to create the identity that I want, directed by my purpose and my goals in life. Jesus. Versus the world choosing my identity by presenting stimulus or stimuli that I just react to and follow along. And as a result, I don't end up as the person that I wanted to be. I end up as whatever comes. And that's definitely not, generally not going to end up where you want. So choose the hard of developing your identity and following your purpose so the life doesn't choose it for you. I got so many other examples. Let's go parenting. And remember, while we're talking about all these things, I do not claim to have it all together. As I'll mention through some of these are the ones I struggle with. So in terms of parenting, I can choose the hard of, and I know this maybe sounds crazy, but the hard of being present, of, putting away distractions, of setting a good example for your kids so that, you're proud of who they become because they become you. So if I don't set an example that I'm going to be proud of by choosing hard things and working towards what's important, they're going to see that example of choosing whatever comes or just following whatever comes, maybe the easy route, which is going to lead to discomfort and not the good chosen discomfort. You can think about this in terms of community. And maybe I'll refer to school here for a minute. The school is a platform where you can build an online community, share, be a part of other communities. And in order to get the benefit out of it, right, in order to develop a good community and meet people that have shared values and all the things that you would want out of this, you got to choose the hard work. You got to put yourself out there. You got to comment. You got to be active. And that's going to develop those relationships. You're going to find people that you didn't know, were in the same place as you and that you could get value from. But you're only going to get that if you put yourself out there. Whereas hard can choose you And you can just say, create your profile, not go on there, and not meet anybody, and not get any results. And you could apply this to like a dating website. You could apply this to a in-person community. Anything. If you don't put in the work, if you don't put yourself out there, nothing comes of it, right? You don't get the results that you wanted if you don't choose the hard thing of putting in the work. And this applies to all of these, right? We can talk about mental health. They're all so applicable. You know, we all have struggles with our mental health, be it confidence, you know, be it anxiety, depression, confusion, whatever. And just like everything else here, there's two routes you can take. You could take the hard route where you put in the work. You know, you do the counseling, you have the hard conversations, you dig deep and find out more about yourself. Versus the easy route where you take the pill, you take the drugs. I was listening to Brigham Bueller on Joe Rogan, and you should definitely listen to this conversation, just talking about big chemical, big pharma. And one of the things they were talking about was antidepressants, and how we're told that antidepressants are this like magic fix that take these people's suicidal ideations and make them feel better and change their lives. But the truth is they don't. The science and the studies actually show that suicidal ideations go up oftentimes with these antidepressants. So you think you're taking the easy route by getting this drug that's going to fix your problems, but really, you're potentially making it worse. And worse than that, like you're not doing it. You're not building the confidence that you can do it. This applies to all those drugs, by the way. Holy crap. Not a huge fan, if you can tell, of pharmaceuticals as a fix for your health. But you can see the easy route versus the hard route there. I can do the work for my mental health, which is going to be long, slow, painful, but it's going to lead to growth. Or I can try to take the easy route and go with the drugs, which leads to a real hard, right? It leads to addiction. It leads to side effects. It leads to contraindications and more drugs, right? You don't get healthy on the drug hamster wheel. You get more and more drugs over time, and your doctor says you're healthy. You got a clean bill of health, even though you're on drugs all the time. That is the hard. Don't choose that one. Choose to do the work. Oh, I like this one. Time and priorities. All right, this is why we're here, people. I can choose to do this. This is choosing the hard. Getting up, making sure I make progress on my health and my goals. Versus not. Right? If you've got goals, you got priorities, you got things that you want to achieve in your life, but you're not going to allocate, you're not going to carve out, you're not going to prioritize it. The hard that's choosing you in that case is you're not achieving your goals. You're not getting anywhere. You're just drifting through life, dictated by the stimuli that come at you, stimuli, versus prioritizing it, carving out your life, and directing it wherever you want to go. But that's choosing hard, right? That's doing the work. We could go environment as well, you know, lifestyle, and that can be relative to your impact on the planet outside. It could be related to, you know, the lifestyle, the environment you create for yourself in your house by, you know, filling it with healthy foods or unhealthy foods or healthy habits, you know, like screen time. Or you choose the lifestyle and the environment that surrounds you. So once again, you can choose hard, by being disciplined and by having direction and filtering all your questions through your moral compass or through your moral lens is challenging, but it leads to the environment that you're proud of and the lifestyle that leads to your goals versus, doing what everybody else does, doing what the TV promotes and the ads of buying processed foods and handing your health over to big pharma, big chemical. Right? I don't know if I've talked about epigenetics before, but epigenetics is the idea that your genes are turned on or turned off or activated by the environment around you and your lifestyle. So the choose heart, oh, it's slippery. Choosing your heart here is making all those healthy choices, making sure that your environment is not toxic, versus the heart of, like your genetics, your potentially negative genes being turned on by being in a toxic environment, right? By producing too much inflammation in your body from choosing processed foods and sugary drinks and whatever it is, excess carbohydrates. So you can choose the hard by creating your environment, your lifestyle, or you can have the hard by default by living like society, promotes. And the last one, we'll talk about listening and growth mindset. I can choose hard by being open-minded, listening to people with different viewpoints, and thinking about it, and accepting that. Right? That's challenging because it questions, it tests our morals and our values. But the other side is not listening and not coming in with a growth mindset or a beginner mindset. And as a result, you're going to butt heads with other people and you're not going to learn. And if you're not open-minded, you can never learn. So choosing the heart of being open and listening, even if it doesn't suit your priorities, your goals, doesn't align with your views, that hard is better than ignoring it and it just being hard on its own. So here's our 20 minutes coming up. Amazed that we've made it. 3, 2, 1. Great job, team. That thing is so sweaty, I'm gonna have to roll it around. Good job. Take a minute. Let's walk around. Catch our breath. Oh. How did that feel, team? How are we doing? 20 after 5. It got real sweaty over here. There were definitely some moments of potential slippage, but we made it. How you guys doing, team? Where's my camera? That's an interesting one. My water bottle. Okay. So we're we've got our push-ups coming up here in a minute. So just walk around, breathe, take a sec. We'll talk a little bit more about that in a second, just to close it up. But first, let's get set up for our push-ups. Jody says, that sandbag moved around me like a rotisserie chicken. Oh, I like that. OMG. That's good. That was, I don't know, it kind of felt maybe even harder than last week. I think it always just depends on how you're feeling coming in. All right, let's take a second, then we'll push up. What do you think of that two-tone shirt? You can't really see it. It is very sweaty. use that as a... All right. Look how sweaty that thing is. Woo! We got warm. Okay, let's talk about next step here. Okay, team, so as I've been saying a little bit, we might kind of change this up, get through it a little quicker, but this is our opportunity work today, our extra opportunity work. This is going to change over time, but currently we're still on this push-up challenge. Let's brief that a sec. Let's just see here. Spencer says, I heard you jumping right into 100. Oh, are you talking about the push-ups? It's not what I said. And then Yaroslav, the sandbag carry looks much easier than it really is. Yeah, it feels pretty good for about a minute or so, and then it gets very real. I feel like I probably didn't spend equal amounts of time on both sides, which would have been the goal, but you get it done. Okay, so push-up challenge. If you are brand new here, this is what we're following. Mr. Do Hard Things 365. Basically, the idea is it's one unbroken or consecutive set of push-ups every day, and you're increasing the reps. My goal is to get to 100. Today will be 69. And what I was thinking, team, is that we'll accelerate this a little bit so that we don't have to do another 31 days of push-ups. Not that there isn't value in that. I think it's... I'm just thinking of maybe a different format. Maybe we'll have a little bit of opportunity work every day, but they'll be different based on the day of the week. So what I'm thinking in terms of getting this done is tomorrow we'll go 70, and then we'll go up by 5s to 100. So we'll go 75, 80, 85, 90, 95, 100. So for another week or so, hopefully we can get through them, but then we'll just, we'll move on to a new format after that. So on the push-ups, we'll talk standards here real quick, what we want to see. So in terms of range of motion on the push-up, which I feel like I always forget to talk about, is you're starting at a lockout, meaning the elbows are fully straight, and ideally the shoulders are kind of pressed up. And then what I'm looking for is chest to the floor. I'm literally making contact with the ground with the chest, and then back up to that lockout. So what you can do is during that set, right? You don't need to do them straight through. You just want to maintain a plank position. This is acceptable. Side to side is great. We just want to try to avoid the hips going up and back or the knees coming down. If this is not accessible for you, you can elevate your floor, right? So get your hands on a stair or a bench or a bed or something so they're higher off the ground, and then you can maintain a nice straight body, maybe as opposed to going from the knees. So, push-up time is here again. It's like Christmas. 69 here today. It'll take about 5 minutes or so. So if you're not doing push-ups, right? If you're finding the shoulders are getting a little fatigued or whatever, you could do some other opportunity work. I think Jody did some lat pull downs yesterday. You could choose something else that's going to be challenging that you want to work on. Cool. Either way, let's get in some opportunity work, or weakness work, if you will. I feel like this is more nerve-wracking than the workout itself. Definitely makes me nervous. Okay, no more procrastinating. 10 seconds. 69 push-ups. 3, 2, 1, go. Wow. It's 30 for me.
Like a magnet, moves won't have it till I'm burned in a casket. I ain't playing got a weird mind. If you
36.
work 8 hours, I'ma work 9. If the shit tastes sour, you should taste mine. Stay in power for a long time. Get up, nah, I ain't a quitter. Talk to the ball, I'm a really big hitter. Big hitter, I'm a straight killer. Run from the song to the highest hitter. Got juice, got gas, I'ma move fast. New shoes, new tracks, like who's that? New come back better than last. Yeah, it's a new me, never gonna look back. Never gonna look back.
42.
You move slow when I move fast, and that's fact. Only I can make a change. Slowly take a step today. I will never be the same, 'cause that's what it takes.
45. Let's go, team. Wow. 61, 62, 63, 64, 65, 6, 67, 68, 69. 5 minutes of push-ups. Okay. Oh, team. How we doing? Choose hard. This is where we're at right now. Tell me about it. Wow. That's a good pump. I was talking to somebody yesterday about that, and they said that they would be better off just going straight through. But I can't do 69 push-ups unbroken straight through, so I think the whole point of this is to do more than you could do in an unbroken set. Holy, especially while getting that plank stimulus, that midline stimulus. All right, let's breathe here a little bit. Spencer headed to bed. Have a good one, everyone. Thanks so much for joining, Spencer. Love you. And I sent you some ideas on our new opportunity work. Let me know what you think on that. All right. Let's mobilize a little bit here. I'm just going to start with our shoulder stretch. We're going to do this every day just because of the push-up volume. So take one hand against the wall and just turn your body away from it. Get that pull through the front of the shoulder and the chest. We'll go for about a minute per side here. And I wonder if we could think about, are there some areas in our lives where we're still choosing the easy, or not choosing the easy, but by not choosing hard, kind of choosing easy by default? Or not even necessarily choosing easy, but avoiding the hard. Trying to think, well, I think as I mentioned during that chat, the one that I probably most struggle with is the relationship one. Right? I have a tendency to, want to be right. Or I want to say I have a tendency to be right, but I'm sure that's not the case. And, the hard that comes as a result of that, not by choosing the hard, but by avoiding those hard conversations and, avoiding the communication, which is potentially what I'll do. The hard that comes from that is challenging relationships, right? Is the people that you love find it harder and harder to deal with you. So personally, that is the hard that I should be choosing, that I'm maybe not doing as good a job that I should be at. And I wonder if we all have at least one of those, or at least an area that we, I don't want to say take the easy route, but we don't always choose the hard route, even though, we know that it's probably the right way. But I don't want to look at that as, the worst thing and that I should beat myself up for it. What I want to do is just realize when I'm doing it, right? Start to recognize when I'm avoiding that hard conversation or avoiding the hard choice that's going to lead to what I want. And ideally in that moment, realizing that not choosing the hard is going to lead to bigger challenges, and not productive challenges further down the road. Jody, well, there went 84 push-ups. That would be 0 without the 5 a.m. squat club. Thanks, coach. 84, Jody, you're a machine. And how is the hand feeling? We doing those on dumbbells? Yeah, push-ups are not, when I was maybe in my late teens, did a lot of push-ups, a lot of bench, really was training for aesthetics because I didn't really know anything. But since then, man, I have done very, very little benching and very few push-ups. So that's a good portion of the reason why we chose this push-up challenge, just because it is something that I haven't been getting enough volume in. So I appreciate that you like it as well, and that, I'm not just doing push-ups here by myself. Fantastic. All right, so next step, you know what it is. Right, we talk about this all the time. This is another opportunity to choose your hard. Jody, still using the dumbbells? Yes, fantastic. Right, let's even address that, right? So Jody is using the dumbbells for her push-ups to maintain a more neutral wrist because it's uncomfortable on the hand, right? This is not necessarily a choose hard option, but think about Jody could very easily say, hey, that hurts my hands. I'm just not going to do push-ups. I'm not going to work on that thing at all. Versus, hey, is there a way that I can address this, still work on that potential weakness without causing myself harm? And then she does it, right? So she's choosing that option that is still challenging, that's still hard, as opposed to choosing the other hard, as opposed to, hard choosing her by not doing those push-ups and then ending up with weakness in that area, incapacity, and, potentially dysfunction further down the road. So another great example of choose the hard that is going to lead to the result that you want. Yaroslav, wow, Jody, that is impressive. Awesome results. Heck yeah. Yaroslav, how were your push-ups? And Jason, where you at? You were 75 yesterday. Did we do 80 today? So, but going on the do your work topic, do the work, do your homework. The hard that you choose here, I can't say that any are more important than others, but this one's huge, right? I have goals. You have goals, and you can choose the hard of working on them, right? I've chosen the hard. People ask me all the time, why didn't you just make this the 6 a.m. squat club? Like, why make it so awkward? You're limiting your potential viewerships to like the East Coast of North America, and it's fucking early, right? It's so hard, it's so early. Why did you choose that? And it's because I have goals, and it's because if I got up later, I wouldn't be able to carve out the time for this section right here, the homework. Right? I would just be getting up, working out, and then life would be starting. And yes, I'd be improving my fitness, and my discipline would be improving because I'm committing to doing this thing and I'm doing it. But I'm going to just repeat this over and over again. This is more than just fitness. Right? Whatever your goal is, you got to put in time. Right? You have to dedicate some time. Otherwise, it's not going to happen. Right? So this business, this 5 a.m. squat club, where I want to help as many people get into good habits and take those steps towards the lives that they want. Like, this is my heart. This is my homework. There's a little bit of social media work that I do. There's work that I'm doing on school and community. I'm working on making this whole thing a little bit prettier every time. That's my homework. I spend minimum an hour ask my wife, and it's minimum like 4 hours a day on this project because I want to get it somewhere. And if I don't choose that hard, it's never going to happen. And that goal that I have is never going to be achieved and reached. So this is your opportunity here. This is the time where you carve it out, and whatever that daily action step is, you achieve it. If you don't know what your daily action should be, we can talk about it here. You can post your goals on here and we can talk about breaking it down. But obviously more effectively than that will be this face-to-face. Come join us on school. We've got a new member on school. That platform is blowing my mind. I had a member join yesterday who's never been here. He's never been on YouTube to see us. He's got a YouTube channel. He actually is a moonshiner and makes liquor. But he never even found us on here. It was just on school. We were chatting. I never even mentioned the community. And this guy came and paid to be a member of our community. So it's just showing me the potential of this platform. But the point is, that's where we're going to get together and we're going to break it down and we're going to ensure that we've got our daily steps lined up so that all you need to do is do our training, right? Do our prime the mind, prime the body, and then you just do that work. You just do that 1 hour task, whatever it is. And that's the only option. All right, Yaroslav says, I'm really slow with push-up progress, probably because of my shoulders, but step by step, I will get there sooner or later. Yeah, Yaroslav, just don't beat yourself up and make sure that you hold yourself to a reasonable standard. Maybe you increase by 1 every 2 days and you just aim to maintain the number that you did for 1 day, add the next day, maintain, add, and you do it that way so that you can ramp up without having to back off on it. Or even just like push-ups every second day, right? If the volume is too much for the shoulders. Jody says, thanks Yaroslav, or is it Yaroslav Jr.? No boys this morning? Well, it's a Saturday. They're not in school this morning, are they? Jody says, Coach, how about that Maynard Mike, the tactical guy? Thought maybe we could recruit him. That is a huge coincidence, Jody, because I'm just basically looking for, well, my YouTube homepage is basically just set up to show me people who are exercising live generally, because that's what I'm looking at a whole lot right now. So what a coincidence that we ended up on the same channel at the same time. Had you followed him before? Because that was the first time I had ever showed up on his channel. I don't think it's likely we're gonna recruit him. I mean, I'm gonna probably keep chatting with him a little bit because I think he could probably handle what we're doing. I think he's, you know, his whole mentality. Maybe this is important to talk about. His whole mentality was, you know, slow, controlled movements. Not anything crazy because, you know, he's saying that he's getting older and, you know, the body's beat up. But anything we do here is scalable, right? He could very easily pick up a very light sandbag and stand around with it, you know, or, you know, yesterday, wow, I lose track of that. What did we do yesterday? Let me just look that up. It was the pause squats and chin-ups, right? Like, could he grab a band and do some banded pull-downs? Yeah. Could he do a squat to a chair? Heck yeah. So, you know, if you're trying to convince somebody, if you're trying to explain to them that they should join us, right, and they're not as fit as you, they're not, you know, a regular CrossFitter or whatever it is, they can join, right? This is scalable. The more you let me know where you're at in the comments, the more I can give you, you know, scaling options or modifications. So yeah, we'll see if we can get them, but that was it was pretty interesting that we ended up finding the same guy at the same time. Oh, me too on the YouTube. Yeah, you'd never seen him either. That's interesting. I kind of figured your whole homepage would just be Sevon World, but obviously we have interests. Yaroslav says, well, 5 a.m. is pretty tough, but to be honest, by 6 p.m. you're already getting ready for work. So most people don't have much time after 6 p.m., just my guess. Yeah, I mean, for me, it's less about when there's going to be time, right? So yeah, you could work out at 6 p.m. My challenges with that are, like, 6 p.m., I mean, it just doesn't work, right? We're finishing up dinner. You know, we're starting to do baths for the kids. Like, it just doesn't work. But I mean, if we were talking just in the evening, say, you know, at another time, the reason that I prefer this and why I think this is more beneficial is we can get up early enough to carve out this extra time, right? That's probably the main point. But it's also that in the morning, your testosterone's higher, your body is fresh and ready to go. It hasn't been exhausted during the day. You're not coming in tired. And I also think that the more you exercise later in the day, closer to bedtime, potentially the harder time you're going to have getting to sleep afterwards because your body is turned on and primed, and then you have to try to turn it down or shut it off before you go to bed, which is just extra challenging. Whereas do this first, you know, get your work done, and then you can, you know, have breakfast and start your day, and it's a primer as opposed to this, like, jack it up before you're trying to shut it down, right? This way we're jacking it up for the day. So personally, it just makes more sense to do it earlier in the day, especially if you've got, you know, a busy life and you want to make sure that you're reaching some goal so that you can carve out that time as well. Jody says, lol, me too. Oh, we already did that one. Yaroslav, boys are with me. I was holding them again today. More fun. I really want to see a video of that. I feel like that would make me really happy. See you carrying around those boys for 20 minutes. And what do they think? Like, how do they like it? They're just hanging out on your shoulders. I can imagine that being very entertaining for us. I mean, I'm sure it's very challenging for you, but I love it. And Jody says, I've always been a 6 a.m.er, just works best. Hey, you know it, Jody. You know it works best. Also, how was Grace yesterday? I'm not gonna lie, I did not get Grace in. I had a short window, but I did get the weightlifting complex, 2 power cleans, 2 hang squat cleans, 2 jerks in. And realistically, you know, like that's the thing that I need most, just because we don't do as much heavy stuff here. So getting a little bit of technical, heavier stuff that, you know, especially where I can drop a barbell if it doesn't go super well, I'm going to try to get that in at the gym as much as I can, right? I want to be as well-rounded as possible, and heavier stuff is not my, well, it's not my strength, so it just requires more work. Okay, team, we've got active recovery tomorrow. Let me know if you've got certain movements you want to do. I think I'm always going to keep the slow burpees, and I think we're going to keep that 16 minutes, you know, 4 movements, 4 rounds. Give me a little bit of feedback here if you think otherwise. We could always do longer. You know, we could do 5 rounds of 4 movements or 4 rounds of 5 movements. But we're going to keep the slow burpees. We're going to keep the hang work just because that's important to me. But we could do foam roll. We could do those... you know, we've done the bear crawl and the crab walk. We could do squats. We could do anything just nice and easy to keep the blood flowing. So feel free to put in some ideas that you want to get in there. And you want to come say hi, dog? Come on. Come on, get up. Oh, there you go. Say hi to people. So tomorrow is that, right? Is active recovery day. And... what are you doing, doggy? Where are you going? You see her? Are you a funny dog? Oh, you're like in my ear. Okay. Wow. All right. So, I think we've blabbed enough. You know that I love you guys. I really appreciate you being here with us. I'm going to be here either way, so it's nice that I'm not alone. Yaroslav says, it's hard. We have to rotate, but not many complaints from the boys. I took a selfie. Heck yeah, I want to see that. How do you take a selfie holding 2 kids? All of it is very intriguing to me. I love it. Okay, so that's that. Stop blabbing. We will see you, team, tomorrow. I hope you have a fantastic Saturday, and we'll see you. Peace.